This is video 78 of 101. This video is about communication. I think the most important part in any relationship, and not just the good ones, but literally any human interaction where you are doing something with another human, whether it be planning an event or working on a project or literally anything, communication is key. We are not mind readers. Yeah, some of us are intuitive and can pick up on body signals, but we shouldn't be relying on people picking up on our body signals to interpret exactly what we're thinking. Especially because a lot of the times these things can get clouded, and then sometimes people think we're thinking one way but we're actually thinking another way, and then when it comes time to present whatever, it just doesn't go the way we want it to, and we become upset because our expectations were lost. But we didn't tell anybody what we wanted, so how could we expect anybody to do that if we didn't communicate it? How many times have you imagined something going a certain way, and then when it actually happens, it didn't go that way because you never said anything about it? I've had that happen to me a lot of times, and so we really need to just start to talk about everything, no matter if it's going to maybe disrupt some people, maybe it'll cause a problem, but maybe in the end it's going to end up where it's meant to be. It's so important to say the things that are on our mind. Whether you're just talking to a friend, giving them feedback, it's so important to be honest and communicate things properly, because it's going to help the people around us grow and create better events, better things, better projects, better whatever. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't worry about how it's going to be perceived. Just be totally honest and say, hey, I don't think that's a good idea, or hey, actually maybe why don't we try this? Or what if we did it this way instead? You know, maybe your idea won't actually come to fruition, but it could also inspire another idea that will actually make the whole entire thing a lot better. The more we communicate, the more likely things are to work out into our favor. If we are telling people, hey, this is what I'm thinking, people can be like, wow, that actually sounds pretty good. Let's try and align with that. Let's use our ideas and collaboratively make something great. Communicate everything, the good, the bad, everything. Be honest is the only way we are going to get shit done, is if we are open and honest. Because if you go somewhere and you're asking people for their opinions and they're like, oh yeah, it's great, but it actually isn't, well, you're walking out of there having learned nothing when you could have learned a lot by those people just being honest with you. And we need to stop feeling awkward talking about certain subjects like mental illness and sexuality and politics and veganism. Maybe we'll feel a little bit awkward in the beginning, but this awkwardness shouldn't stop us from expressing these emotions, these words, these messages that we have in our head. It is going to be so much better once you get those words out and you start talking about it, and it's like, wow, this isn't actually that bad. The awkward part is only in the beginning, and then once you start actually talking about it and the people around you are like, yeah, we can talk about that, it's actually a pretty awesome conversation. The more we talk about it, the easier it gets. Feeling awkward is just a feeling. Don't let that prevent you from action and saying what you really feel, because that is how we get shit done. That is how we progress and become successful in this world, is by speaking our minds and not being afraid of how it's going to be perceived, but just knowing that, hey, this is words that need to be said, I'm going to say them. It can end up having an incredible impact. And you will be very glad that you said it. As long as we don't have the intention to harm anybody or hurt anybody, and we're just trying to make people better or make a situation better, then that's all we can really do. And if sometimes people may get hurt by our criticism or our feedback, and we're not trying to make people feel bad, they just may not know how to take it. We definitely want to make sure we're not attacking anybody in our words if we're giving them feedback or something. You know, by just saying, instead of like, you should have done this better, say things like, I wish this was done this way. Or I prefer when things are done this way, or I think it is better when things are done this way, rather than saying like, you should do this, you should do that. That's very, very attacking, very aggressive, and people can definitely become defensive over these kind of topics. And then just on the flip side of communication is receiving the communication. And so if people are being honest with you and they're saying, I don't think this is going to work, I think this should be better, or I think this should be different, just be open and honest and know that these people literally just have the intention to make a better experience overall. Don't take it personally, just let it be what it needs to be, and you will find that you end up in a really awesome place with some pretty amazing experiences at the end of it. So communicate, be open, be honest, talk to people, talk about things you love, just start the conversation flowing, because starting a conversation, starting this communication is how we are going to start to change the world. So we can't be afraid to talk about these subjects anymore. It's just not, we don't have enough time to be beating around the bush anymore. We need to get to the point. We need to say, hey, there are things that are fucked up in this world and we are going to fix them, and let's just go do that then. Start the conversation, communicate. Be open, be honest, and just don't be afraid. Don't let anxiety, don't let awkwardness stop you from action.